Are you telling me that the Fakertarians want to make... They have things on there. They're not even like humans. And they're like making comments. They try to make the most degenerate comments.
Archie, get the fuck off my stream.
What's the thing with like that what's his name? Hudak guy? Like, who is, I will say, Nick, on the show you were at there, right? Amongst them, he's the smartest.
I believe Fakertarians has done more damage to the Libertarian Party than anybody Fakertarians tries to damage. Because it's a bunch of people who have no official position, they're just tweeting on their own personal timelines, and Fakertarians goes and screenshots and publicizes this is what's wrong with the Libertarian Party.
Fakertarians has lost so much credibility that no one is willing to... It's the boy who cried wolf. Like, they might actually be right one day. Maybe there'll be one day where there's an actual Nazi that someone puts on our show. We're just going to be like, eh.
Well, the Fakertarians hop on and they're like, ooh, that's a anti-Semitic, and people are like, that's anti-Semitic, and I'm like, first of all, you fucking idiots, I'm half Israeli.
And while I'm at it, you know what? Fuck that page, those Fakertarians. Fuck that page too. Fuck all those guys. They're on my shit list too. Fuck them, giving me fucking shit for going on fucking Stefan Molyneux's show. Hey, they're fucking the Fakertarians one, who actually pissed me off more because from what I've been told, there's like a couple decent people attached to that. Fuck them. Fuck those guys. They're gonna fucking give me shit for fucking going on Stefan Molyneux's podcast to advocate against war because you didn't like that I called him great.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 42 of the Fakertarians podcast. I'm your host, John Hudak, along with Jeremy Kantorowicz, the Cosmic Kraka, and Josh Hilditch. Today we have joining us Billy Bob the Tankie. Billy Bob, how you doing today?
Good, John. How are you?
I'm good. So we'll just jump right into things. I think the question on everyone's mind today is, when did you first start basing your identity around being a fan of murderous dictators?
That's a great question, John. Thank you so much.
He sounds like a CNN great question. I'll get to it in a moment. Yeah.
First Stalin rules. I am relatively new to my perspective.
New to killing. Yeah.
It's evolved over some time.
The killing is evolved. Okay, please go on.
Before I answer that fully, let me just say I appreciate you guys having me on. This is a new format for me, so I apologize. I have not mastered it completely.
We haven't either.
You are helping me to master it as we speak. So I appreciate it. I appreciate being here. Please come at me with whatever you think, hold me accountable to make sure my views are consistent, whatever. Again, I do uphold Stalin. He was a true working class hero. I do not consider him a murderous dictator. So, we can disagree on that, and we can get into that. We can do, we can go whichever.
So would you agree that he murdered people?
Stalin probably never murdered anyone in his life.
Oh,
not even ordered it.
That's the biggest dodge in the fucking world.
He never killed anybody. I don't believe.
Right. Charles Manson didn't either.
Yeah, I was gonna say Manson is completely guiltless too. Then by that standard.
Well, which leader hasn't ordered people killed? Is there any leader that hasn't ordered people killed?
No, I definitely.
I was leader of my rugby team. I never told anyone to kill someone else.
So you know what? Here's what I'll concede. Let me concede this right off the bat. I think that there was definitely some unchecked excess, which led to, around hundreds of thousands, perhaps 1 million deaths. Stalin takes responsibility for some of that because, there was people running rampant without oversight, engaging in purges, and probably, a lot of people that didn't deserve to die got caught up and got killed. There's no, I don't know if we can deny that fact, but ultimately the people responsible for that were also held accountable and punished.
Really?
When
Well,
was Stalin punished?
wasn't. Yeah, when was Stalin punished? What about Operation Lentil in the Caucasus? When was he punished for that?
So,
Or
there's-
Levetli
there's
Beria?
all-
When was
there's
he
all
punished
kinds
for that?
of criticisms regarding different things, and I mean we can talk about each one. So I believe you're talking about the relocation of particular ethnicities during World War
Relocation.
II.
That's a very, very interesting word that you chose there. It
Yeah.
was a deportation,
Yeah.
and it was a genocide.
Well, I mean, you can.
Well,
you can call
what?
it that.
I mean, come on, Billy.
Yeah.
Billy, you got to be serious here. You look. I like you. Okay, I like you, but you got to be honest with me. It was a genocide. Yeah.
No,
When
the
you
forced relocation of people is not. I mean, you can call that a genocide, and that's fine. It was what it was. The mortality rate.
Genocide is what it is. Is that what you're saying? Come on,
It was
man.
a forced relocation of an ethnic minority that was siding with the invading Nazi forces, and rather than
They weren't though. The majority of Chechens were fighting in the Soviet army, not for the Nazis.
So
that is historical fact. You can look into the Soviet archives. You can see it yourself.
There was a real, genuine threat.
The threat was the fucking Nazis, but they weren't the Chechens, were they?
No, the Chechens represented an actual threat to the Stalin government.
How? How? They were fighting in the Red Army.
So I mean, well, this is the thing. So in your imagination, you think
that's not imagination. It comes from the Soviet archives.
No, you think that Stalin just hated Chechens and they weren't a threat at all, and he wanted to.
Yeah, I think Stalin was a racist. Yeah.
Okay,
You got me.
So that's fine. And there's nothing in anything he's ever written that would do anything but contradict that.
What do you mean written? You have written reports by Levetli Beria, which I would hope. Look, Billy, like I said, I like you. Right? Let's just sort of cut to one side right now. Levetli Beria was a bad person, yes? You're not going to say yes?
Look.
The guy was a rapist, man.
I'll tell you right now. I am not an expert on Beria.
Ooh, Billy. Come on, Billy. Google him. Google him right now.
I don't have an opinion, and I'm not going to be able to give you an informed opinion right now. I'm sorry. But
you realize that the Soviet Union had him executed because he was a rapist, yeah? You didn't know that? Am I more tanky than you? What's going on here?
Here's what's interesting. So, when the guys that you don't like get executed, it was justified, but any other executions were unjustified. And I mean, to me,
I think Levetli Beria or Adolf Hitler getting executed is okay. But if we just picked up you or John Hudak and went, he's some falsified crimes and executed you two, that would be a bad thing. I don't understand how you're trying to say to me that's a gotcha.
Okay,
because it's not a gotcha.
So again, the ethnic, the moving of the ethnic minorities, that was an actual thing that happened. I don't deny it happened. There was reasons that it happened. If you want to suggest those reasons were a psychosis of Stalin or a racist thing where he utilized,
it is a racist thing.
Okay, so
the British Empire did it.
Do
you class the British Empire as racist?
That's your opinion. No.
I asked you a question. Me asking you a question is not my opinion. It's me asking you a question.
What's the opinion?
I asked you a question. If the British deported people from certain ethnicities so the white people could move in, is that racist? Why are you delaying? Of course it is.
Okay, what I'm saying is that's not why Stalin...
Wait, hang on a sec. Wait, John, wait.
Yeah.
Do you like the British, Billy?
They're okay.
Do you like the British? Because I'm British, so, like you and I could become really good chums. Have another swig of water. It's going to last you.
Are you asking me a question? I'm not sure. I disagree with your premise that they were removed so that white Soviets could move in. That's patently absurd.
That's not what I said.
You can have that. You can have that opinion. I disagree with it.
But that's not what I said. You're twisting my words.
Okay.
Yeah, I said the forced expulsion of an ethnic group of people from their native homeland, is that racist?
Sure.
As in it is? Okay, great. We move on to the next topic.
Move another ethnicity in there.
Sorry, what?
If it's done to move another ethnicity in there, I mean, it could be racist. And you can argue that it's
that's
racist
not how it
because
works, Billy. Billy, come on. That's not how it works, all right? If you were going to deport an ethnic group of people from their native homeland to fuck them off somewhere else, that is racist, yeah? It doesn't matter if you move someone in there or not. You are targeting a group of people by their ethnicity and saying, you need to go over there because we don't like you. That is racism. You agree with that, right?
It's definitely collective punishment.
You're dodging the question there, buddy. You're dodging the question. It is racism, is it not?
I don't characterize it like that. No.
Oh, why not?
Because it wasn't done out of any kind of hatred towards another ethnicity, and it wasn't done to benefit a particular ethnicity. It had nothing to do with ethnicity. It had to do with the fact that the
target an entire
represented a significant threat to the Red Army, and they weren't going to allow them to be a behind the front lines kind of threat to sabotage the Russian defense effort. I mean, that's the purpose. Like you can agree that it wasn't necessary, or that the risk that they represented wasn't enough of a risk to merit their removal from that area. But that was
okay. So when the New York police sort of stop and frisk black people, is that racist?
All right.
Well, it's an abject comparison. It's perfectly fine, because when you're saying that the Chechens as an ethnic group are a problem, how is that different to, say, New York City, where they say the black people, we're going to stop and frisk them because they're the crime people or whatever? How is that different?
I mean, again, you can characterize it.
Oh, no, I can answer the question for you. It's different because one's got a red flag. I've got you there, haven't I? Yeah, you like the red flag.
No, those are two different. I mean, to me, your argument isn't compelling. It's not compelling to me.
How is it not compelling?
Because you are misunderstanding the reasons why it happened. It wasn't done out of
I'm misunderstanding why an entire ethnic group of people were deported from their homeland. Yeah, I think that's fucking bad.
I want to interrupt for just a second because I have some really big news for you guys. Here in the city I live, we're pretty darn segregated. Okay, so you go up north and it's primarily them black folk, right? Well, thing is, I'm also a big shot for Walmart. Y'all didn't know that. So I decided that what would really benefit this city on a whole is a brand new freaking Walmart. And we're going to be the first city in America to have an attached amusement park. But to get there, we're going to have to go up and we're going to have to move all them black folks. And I know some of them don't have the means to move themselves. So might have to use a little bit of force. And well, if that doesn't go right, oops, in come the nukes. Is that racism? Billy Bob, explain.
No, I'm not gonna agree that there's any kind of parallel between a wartime decision to move.
Oh, how convenient.
This is wartime. We need more Walmart.
So it's not compelling to me, honestly. I understand
Kmart? I missed Kmart.
The Chechens represented a legitimate, serious threat to the leadership during the largest invasion in the history of the known universe, right? Over nearly 3 million people invaded the Soviet Union, and they weren't going to allow a small group of people to be a threat behind the lines that could sabotage supply lines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they made a decision to move all those people, and it is what it is. Ultimately, the strategy and the tactics that the Soviets employed were successful in defeating the Nazi invasion. So were tough choices made? Did brutal shit happen? Of fucking course.
Do you say the same? Do you say the same about the genocide in India by the British? Because
I don't, motherfucker. No, I don't say.
Oh, okay. No. That's why I'm asking you, motherfucker, because it's the same thing. I could turn your argument on the same. The Bengal. Where is it? Bengal genocide or Bengali genocide, right? So if the British were trying to stand up to the Nazis, as we were, then we have to make tough decisions in India. That's according to your logic, right? So we genocided 3 million people, which, by the way, Billy, by the way, I say is a tragedy and should be recognized. Now, I do not understand why within your heart you cannot say, hang on a sec, we got that wrong. It's okay to get things wrong, okay? It's in the past, it's history. We can't change it, right? But you can turn around and say, do you know what? Stalin actually made a mistake. Why can't you say that? Why can't you say that Stalin made a mistake? I mean, you're a smart guy. I know, I've spoken to you enough. You're a smart guy. Why can you not admit that?
Okay. No, look, Stalin made mistakes. It is definitely possible that they didn't need to relocate the entire ethnic group from that area. I don't know because I wasn't there, but it's possible that by doing so, it helped them in the war effort. I don't know.
How did it help? We were winning the war at the time. Come on, right? Billy. Have you ever actually hit a fucking history book before? We were winning the war when we deported the Russians, deported the Chechens. We had them beat. We were going to win. Okay, we had invaded Normandy. We had won the Battle of Kursk.
Okay, let me look it up.
Oh, by all means, please. You got to show your phones to the camera there, Billy.
Why?
Sorry.
You're making the argument that it wasn't strategically necessary, and I recognize that the Russian leadership, the Soviet leadership, obviously thought it was strategically necessary, and that's why they put so many resources in doing it. Like, if it wasn't fucking necessary, why would they do it? Because they're racist. That's fucking stupid. You're dumb. Sorry.
I'm dumb.
No, that's a bit of a straw man right there.
Yeah, I think you're getting flustered there, my old boy. I think you're getting a bit upset. Hey, look. I'll tell you what. Just blow a kiss into the camera, mate. Blow a kiss into the camera. I'll give you one as well.
I do have a question, and my first question comes from the audience. Zach had asked, "What about the wartime decision for America to intern Japanese citizens?" What are your thoughts on that one, Billy Bob?
No, I mean, so again, was it done because the U.S. government didn't think there was a serious threat there? They didn't think there was a threat. They just wanted to do it. They wanted to expend resources to do it. No, I agree. That was a mistake. It was it was not necessary because I don't think those Japanese people represented an actual threat to the war effort. But the U.S. government obviously thought they did, and they did what they did. It's the same with the Soviets. It's possible that was a mistake. They didn't need to do it. I'm saying I understand the justification for it. It had nothing to do with racism. It had nothing to do with wanting to move, another race into that area. And that's not why the U.S. government did it either. It was
actually that's the exact definition of why they did it. That was their race. They rounded up that race and they put them into the camp. So no matter how you define it, it is racism. Even if it was made for a wartime decision for the better good, it's still going to be a racist decision.
You can define it like that. I have no problem with that. But I don't want to get caught up on one little thing. Like, again, we have a disagreement. I understand the situation faced by the Soviet government. You're right. It was towards the end of the war. They were winning the war. I am not certain exactly what was going on with the leadership when they were discussing, do we need to expend precious resources in order to do this? My assumption is there was compelling reasons to do that. And you know what? I mean, I can look it up later. I can look it up now if you want. But again, there's a lot of documentation explaining why they thought it was necessary. And I can definitely produce, and I did. I've even shared it with Hilditch before, I believe. He didn't like it because it came from Grover Fur. Also,
hang on a second.
Also Stalin's grandson, by the way.
By the way, I like it, Billy. This is kind of like the things that we would do in the groups where you would actually just sort of attack me. This is fantastic. This is what I want. You're feeding into me. You're giving me strength. I'm going to turn into the Hulk. Grover Fur is a falsified fucking philosopher. He is a piece of shit, and you should stop reading him and read something real. Okay?
No, I mean, that's your opinion, and I've asked people over.
No, it's not my opinion. It's a scientific opinion. It's a scientific.
I've asked
The amount of people
over
in the
and
historic
over and over,
community.
please give me one instance. Of
Okay,
any
go on.
Any falsehoods, anything. I've never seen one thing, and I've asked repeatedly, over and over, everybody and anybody that disparages for. I've asked for, some kind of evidence. Show me what you're talking about. Nothing.
Yeah,
So
but you
I'm
don't
not
accept
impressed.
evidence, though.
I'm
When
not
I give you
impressed,
evidence, you call it Western propaganda. Why,
No,
I wonder.
I've never
You
seen
probably
any.
work for the FSB.
So I do kind of apologize for this conversation immediately degrading to how it has.
No. You have no
don't.
idea, because I want to interject real quick, because one thing I was going to compliment you on, you said straight up you have no experience with this. You're doing such a much better job than most libertarians do when they have a podcast. So you're doing a good job there, Billy Bob.
No, to be fair, right.
This is very true.
I'm gonna give Billy a bit of credence here. All right, Billy, look, the fact that you're actually capable of coming onto the podcast, and this is our dream team here. And we like to put the boot into people, and you're actually trying to stand up for your views, as shit as they are.
Right.
Fair play to you. Fair play to you. We love it. We love it.
Okay, well, that's good.
Why didn't you join us? Come over. Forget about all the Stalin stuff. Come over here. We've got a place for you, John.
I'm curious. I
John,
don't even understand.
John, if we could change him, he's got a seat at the Fakertarians table, does he not?
If we can turn him into a libertarian?
Yeah.
What is Fakertarians? I don't even know. You guys want to clue me in?
Oh, dude, I don't even know.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'll try to explain as best as I can. All right. So Fakertarians started off as trying to call libertarians who are, bullshit libertarians, mostly conservatives. We tried to call them out, right? But over time, it sort of grew, and they took on, for example, a British person. And we sort of moved from there, and we've sort of grown and become more infamous. We've even wound up on, who's that guy? It's David.
Dave Smith?
No, Dave Winograd. Yeah, so me and John wound
Jacob
up
Winograd.
And I'll tell you what, mate, I felt like I was in the Catholic fucking church. It was a bit weird, but here we are. This is what we're all about. So we like to have a bit of fun, Billy. So we're not gonna shout you down all night, but we expect jokes. So here's
this isn't the Dave Smith show.
Yeah, here's the thing I expect from you, Billy. I need your best joke right now. Tell me your best joke. Standing there silent will not help you.
Guy walks into a bar, throws his briefcase on the bar. Bartender asks, "What's in the briefcase?" He says, "You won't believe it. In this briefcase, I've got a guy. He's about this tall, and he's playing a piano." Bartender's like, "You do not have a guy in your briefcase playing a piano." So he opens up his briefcase. Inside, there's a little guy. He's like this tall, and he's playing a piano. The bartender goes, "That is pretty incredible. Where did you get that?" "Well, I'll tell you what. I have a genie in my back pocket, and he will give you any wish that you ask for." So the bartender's a little bit skeptical, and he's like, "Let me see this genie." So he reaches into his back pocket. He pulls out this genie. The genie tells the bartender, "Hey, tell me whatever you want, and I will grant your wish." So the bartender's still a bit skeptical. He's like, "All right, genie, how about you give me $1 million?" Immediately, the whole entire bar is covered with ducks, and the bartender's incredulous. He's like, "Ducks? I didn't ask for $1 million ducks. I asked for $1 million bucks." And the guy's like, "Yeah, the genie doesn't hear so well. You think I asked for a 10-inch pianist?"
Hey,
that's
Billy,
pretty good.
did they teach you that joke in Chechnya?
That's from China, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yeah.
I think we've had enough of Stalin. So what's the next topic we got?
I want to see. I want to cut in for a second and go to U.S. politics for a second. Did you vote for anyone in the presidential election in 2020, Billy?
I am very proud of the fact that I have never endorsed this system with my vote. Now, I was very close to endorsing Obama the very first time he ran. I was lazy and I didn't bother. And I'm so glad I didn't. But I was quite a bit more naive. I didn't quite understand things the way I do now. So I'm proud of my fact that I have never endorsed this corrupt system. I like to refer to it as a capitalist dictatorship with my vote. So no, I mean, look, never am I gonna waste support the system with going out and voting for it. That's not what I'm.
Because I had read something somewhere, like maybe I was wrong on this or something. Something about you liking Trump.
Oh, I actually was about to bring this up. Trump was always the lesser and far more weaker of the two evils. The greater evil fought against him and won using some underhanded and devious tactics, which revealed their own hatred for principles of truth, democracy, and the rule of law, all things they pretended to champion.
Yeah, I mean, on the left, you know, I'm I wouldn't call it sympathy for Trump, really. But, I mean, he was definitely not treated fairly by the establishment press. And there was reasons for that.
Oh, Billy. What are you doing to yourself?
Oh, God.
Fucking hell.
I've written at length about
that
this.
guy said Trump wasn't treated correctly.
You sound,
he
hey,
did say that.
Let's
in 2024, when he wins again, you can
guys
be his
think
fucking
he
press
was,
secretary.
Putin's puppet? You guys think he was an agent of Russia? Is that the
No. We do not think it's an agent. We think that Hillary Clinton lost because she's a cunt.
With me, right? You agree with me then? He was maligned and lied about because he was not an actual agent of Putin. So I don't know why you're all aghast and clutching your pearls that I would champion Trump, which
So
I'm
it's a
not.
Putin thing.
But he was definitely not treated fairly by the media. There was, you know, Russiagate was a too long psyop, and I knew it. I mean, I knew it was obvious a psyop from the very beginning. I don't know if you guys bought into it, but I certainly did it, and I wrote at length about it.
Do you think Trump was racist for his immigration views?
Sure, fuck yeah.
Every bit John, we've actually agreed with something on the tankie. Oh, fuck me. Somebody get our rifles and we're going to put on our little hats and costumes.
Well, and you bring up a good point there, Hilditch. You know, we agree with some of the tankie. I'm not saying I disagree with everything Billy Bob's saying, but hey, that leads me to my question. How is it that y'all get hung up so much on the cult of personality? Because I think that's what it is. Stalin, instead of just bringing up the ideas, it's like you have to hold on to all this baggage and not just kind of apologize for it, but really defend it.
Yeah,
that's very confusing to me.
And I will say one thing on that as well, Brian. So Billy, for example, when you've talked to me over Messenger, we seem to get on. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're way more polite.
Yeah, well, I'm never polite. I'll call anyone a cunt. But
he's a dick.
But why? Why is it that you sort of stand for these kind of people? You know, they're at the bottom of the barrel.
So, you know, I would like to get into, you know, my worldview. I would like to get into why I believe what I do.
Then go. The stage is yours. Go ahead. So, I mean, and I've tried to write, you know, basic explanations that anybody can grasp. But okay, so here's the thing. In your last podcast, one of my criticisms is that, you know, the one I watched, it was like 2 hours last couple weeks ago. You know, you guys never brought up class. You know, working class struggle, working class versus the capitalist class. So, you know, in my worldview, which is based on Marxism and then Leninism, the class struggle is the foundational contradiction that drives society and explains why things are as they are. So I agree with that. I understand that in the capitalist class, in the imperial core where we exist, there's these thoughts and a common perception, and there's a conventional wisdom about Stalin, about the Soviet Union, about communism, which is, in my opinion, entirely detached from the historic reality. So, you know, it's hard.
So it's really so it's more that you want to, at least in your mind, correct the historic record than it is grasping onto the ideas of these individuals, or is it a combination of the two?
I think I mean, you can't detach yourself from the historic reality and embrace ideas in a vacuum, right? So you got to take everything as it is. And so, we need to stop lying to ourselves about history. We need to stop, believing these patent falsehoods about what the Soviet Union was, who Stalin was, how World War II came about, what the Cold War was. So all these things, are very understandable and digestible and make total sense. But again, living inside the imperial core, the whole idea of the capitalist class is to make sure that we aren't able to make sense of it, that it's not that we can't make sense of it. And so there's so many different streams and narratives and ways of perceiving reality and ways of understanding reality, and so many separate identities and political ideologies that you can go with, because they are entirely unthreatening to the status quo. So what I'm saying is, what is really threatening to the status quo is the historic reality where the workers actually overcame their capitalist class in Soviet Union. Currently, again, another thing we can talk about is China, because I think the 100 million strong Chinese Communist Party represents an existential threat to the global imperialist system.
Oh, we'll get to that, Billy. We'll get to that, Billy. Just calm your tits. Calm your tits.
But I'm struggling to try and let you guys kind of understand better my worldview.
No, we understand. We understand your worldview. We understand your worldview. And as I said before, Billy, I do not believe you to be a bad person. I don't. Right? I do not believe you to be a bad person. I believe you to be a bit of a bellend, but it is what you never heard the word bellend before. Would you like me to explain to you? Yeah.
Hey, I got all night. We can do this for 5 hours. So you take your time.
I'm good with that too. I want to jump in real quick. And again, it goes back to what I was originally saying. Again, regardless of how you explain the worldview, here's something I completely agree with you on, is the whitewashing of history and how that definitely is classist. There's so much I've learned. I'm 47 years old, and I've learned so much over the past 15, 20 years. It was things I was never taught in school, like many of the union riots here in the United States. And, comes from the top coming in, let's just go ahead and slaughter these people. They're not good for business. Throw them in the pit over there. Yeah, man. I mean, we should be taught all of that. And yeah, man, it all does come back to class. But at the same time, you don't have to defend authoritarianism in order to get behind, the fight against classism. That's what my big problem is.
Yeah. Billy, I mean, you have to look at this sort of situation. You've got to move forward, yeah? You've got to move forward. What's the point of standing a guy that died in 1956? He's gone. He's dead. You're never going to resuscitate him, all right? I mean, you might want to fuck him, but he's not going to come back, okay?
Well, that's our next episode.
Think about your future. Think about your future. How are you going to move forward as a movement? You're not going to move forward as a movement by just looking at a guy that's dead, okay? You understand what I'm saying, yeah? I can see it in your face. You understand.
Sure.
Okay, great. Well, there we go. Next topic then.
No, right on the same topic. Take that, what you're doing with these particular little, what you fetishized, what all tankies have fetishized, do away with that and fight for an actual correct historical curriculum where we actually examine everything on a fair plane. That should be the goal, not just in defense of a couple of, no matter what you think, even if you think that Stalin didn't kill anybody at all, as you said up front, he was still an authoritarian any way you cut it. And authoritarianism is really, I think, the breaking point when you're talking to folks like us, because if there's one thing I know we all agree on, it's liberty, and that's human liberty. Sure. I'm big on the class struggle. I consider myself a civil libertarian and not one of these strange Austrian sort of jerk off fetishists or something like that. It's all
nobody likes the Austrians.
The anti.
I don't mind the
Austrians. The Austrians have a really, really bad history because they're like, well, what are you famous for? And they're like, oh, Hitler.
Yeah, just in case anybody thought I was talking about the economic structure, no, I was definitely talking about Austrians. I think they gave us.
How do you find the stream so far, Billy? You liking it?
I really appreciate engaging with you guys. I would like to get more substantive. I do have a lot to say about the argument of authoritarianism. I think it's naive. I think it's confused. I don't think that you have a proper understanding of the reality of class struggle if you think that the class struggle can be won without utilizing authority to, number one, take power from the capitalist class, and number two, repress the capitalist class so they don't have a counter-revolution. You just can't do that without using authority.
So who leads in your perfect society then?
Yeah.
Who is this man at the top? Let's envision it from an American perspective. Who's your president?
Back in a second.
Trump. No, I'm just teasing. That's a joke. So, you're asking me who's my president?
What kind of a person? What type of an authoritarian do you want at the top?
No, so I'm all for a Marxist-Leninist approach, which is a communist party, a vanguard communist party like we have in China, where they have total control of the total political hegemony, and they decide policies not in the interest of what the capitalist class wants, not in the interest of profit, but in the interest of the vast majority of the working class. So again, my worldview is very simple. The West is a capitalist dictatorship where the capitalists control every institution, both political parties, the media, the banks, the Federal Reserve, the army, the intelligence.
The banks.
Yeah, capitalist
banks.
Kind of sound like a bit of an anti-Semitic remark.
Oh my God!
Come on! Are you serious? The whole sort of like
the banksters.
The banks are going to come kill us. Look,
So
we don't like the banks.
Come on, I'll
We
just say it
don't
as
like
the
the
Jews.
banks, but
Capitalists don't own banks. You're wasting our time, Hilditch. Capitalists don't own banks. Shut the fuck up. Dumb.
Here we
So
go.
listen.
That's what I'm
Spicy.
out there. Yeah,
So
nice.
listen,
Yeah.
It's the fucking
Go on,
capitalists
go
own the fucking
So-
banks.
Go on. You
So-
got a really good chin there. Yeah. Go on.
Hey, both of you, calm her down for a second there. I want to jump in.
All right,
I
go
got
ahead.
a question for you, Billy Bob. So you're sitting here, you're talking about, we've actually got to have this, and you got to have a little authority over here, and we got to have this sort of a system where they make policies. What type of policies? Are you talking in support of a surrender of First Amendment freedoms? Are you talking in a surrender of freedom of the press? I mean, are you really talking about oppressing every part of our Bill of Rights? That, if anything, it's symbolically beautiful to me.
Well,
Disappearing
again,
a tennis player, when they say something mean about
Yep.
about a party official.
So, I'm familiar with that story that you're referring to, and I know what a hoax it was. I know what a lie it was. I know what a media firestorm. It's a media manufactured firestorm.
How do you know it was a hoax?
How do I know it was a hoax? Because number one, she never claimed she was raped and she never disappeared. So those are the two allegations, that she claimed she was raped and then she was disappeared. Both of those are patently false. It never happened.
Crisis actor.
But here's the thing. So a proletarian dictatorship like we have in China, I think is far superior to a dictatorship of the capitalist class. And
How about just not a dictatorship?
What?
What about just not a dictatorship?
You're right.
But where do we not have a dictatorship?
I mean, I'm sure there's countries where there aren't a dictatorship, but I would just like to not have one in general. I mean,
pretty sure the United Kingdom's
So I think not having a dictatorship is possible once the class war has ended and once the working class has won. But right now we're in a class struggle where
what does winning signify though? What do you?
Winning.
What exactly is the class war in your worldview here, and what is winning?
Yeah, so the West, yeah, okay, so following World War II, you had the United States accounting for half the globe's economy, over 50% of the global economy, and like 5% of the population. So with that obscene disproportion of wealth and power, thanks to the sacrifice of the Communist Party in China, the Communist Party in the Soviet Union, they took that disproportion of wealth and power and they invested in a global empire that now has, military bases in 75% of the world's countries. It's almost 1,000 military bases. They have a global military empire. They average a regime change a year for the past 70 years. So, this is imperialism. This is Western dictatorship. It's a imperialism of the capitalist class.
I'm with you on it being imperialism. I don't think we should be invading a bunch of countries, but I don't think we need a dictatorship to end wars.
Well, see, and really what that it was the past 70 years was just a strategic wartime decision.
Yes, well, it was a strategic wartime decision.
But it's a wrong strategic wartime decision. So
no. Who was it wrong for?
And it's continuing.
Who was it wrong for? It wasn't wrong for the capitalist class. They're fucking doing great, my friend. It was wrong for the working class. That's called class struggle. It was wrong for us. It was fucking great for them. And I'm saying if we're going to reverse that, if we're going to overthrow their empire, the working class, and start doing things that are good for us, we're not going to do it by asking them. I'm telling you, they're not going to just say, okay, you're right. No, it's going to take fucking authority.
So when you say them, are there triple parentheses around it, or is it just them?
I'm sure seeing them.
Them means the capitalist class. I'm not sure what you're implying, but I'm sure it's something silly.
Oh, come on.
The capitalist class. Them is the capitalist class.
The Jews.
What?
Billy,
Nothing,
I told you to expect joke. Come on, laugh.
So, I mean, look, I will say, reality is complex. Reality is, there's a such thing as Jewish nationalism. There's a such thing as Ukrainian nationalism.
Jewish nationalism.
Yeah, of course.
Please go on. Go on. You've got my
Please
attention.
educate us.
Yeah.
I've even got a book.
What is Jewish nationalism?
Zionism? You don't know what Zionism is?
Yeah, I do know what Zionism is. My mum's family is Jewish, so Zionism is not Jewish nationalism. That is nationalism on people who want to create a country for their own, benefit. That is not Jewish nationalism.
A country of who?
The comment that you just made was anti-Semitic.
Hold on. You said Zionists want to make a country of who?
Yeah, well, Zionists want to make a country. Politically.
A country of who?
What you think? You think Jews? You think Jews? You think Jews?
No, I think the Zionists want to make a country of Jews. Zionists
do you know that the last government of the Israelis, that a majority of them were not actually Jewish? I bet you didn't know that.
You're telling me that Zionism isn't the declared intent to make a Jewish country in Palestine? You don't know that?
Didn't know we were going to have Ryan Dawson on today.
Of course, right? There's a reactionary movement to do that, Billy. Of course there is.
No, that's Zionism. Do you know what that's Zionism?
Yeah, did you not just hear me?
I do.
Did you not hear me? Yeah, of course there is.
That's not anti-Semitic, you moron.
Hang on. Whoa, here we go again.
I'm really
he
curious.
got upset again. He got upset. Hang on, wait, no, Brian, Billy, look, do you need a back rub?
Sure. Come over.
Yeah, which shoulder is hurting so much?
I hear saxophone.
Give it a bit of a rub.
That's what I said.
You're not responding to me, Billy. Both shoulders gone because I can give you both shoulder rub if you like.
Just touch it a little bit.
Hilditch, seriously. Zionism is the idea of creating a Jewish state. You didn't know that, and it doesn't fit your argument, so you're not going to admit it. But that's what Zionism is. It's
I admitted it. I admitted what it was.
No, that's not anti-Semitic to say that, you stupid.
Stupid.
Have you read?
No. Complete your sentence. Go on.
You can say cunt here.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Look. Just to calm Billy Bob down. Billy Bob, you're a cunt. Let's go.
I was just
say
curious
what you
if
want
you've
to say,
ever.
Billy. I told you. This is a fucking comedy right here, right now. Say what the fuck you want to say.
I know how those innuendos end up not being so funny, and it's just like I want to stay a million miles from that stupid shit. But
Say what?
Not Stalinism.
You
don't
need an
you don't like comedy?
authoritarian here to defend you.
What?
If only
said you
Stalin was alive right now.
Yeah, I think we basically said the same thing. I wanted to ask you: have you ever read? Speaking of Jewish history and Zionism, have you ever read the book, the Sacred Protocols of the Elders of Zion?
I mean, I'm familiar with it. I don't think
You are?
I've read part of it, probably.
I'm sure you are familiar with it.
What'd you think of it?
No, I'm pretty sure it was a czarist conspiracy, right? The czars wrote it to kind of to justify putting the Jews in pogroms.
Correct.
That's my
Very
understanding.
good.
Yeah. You done well
Very
there,
good.
buddy. You done well.
Yeah.
You done well.
Yeah, you're
Well,
going home with a brand new washer.
I think we're gonna move on from this topic. Next topic.
What do you want next, Eldritch?
Right. Billy, Vladimir Putin. Good or bad?
Great American.
Great American.
Great American.
Fucking hell. All right, John, he set you right up there. Go on.
Well, I didn't know. I thought you were going for this.
Well, no, I am definitely going for this. But yeah. Great American. So you like Vladimir Putin? Is that it?
So, yes.
Yeah, you do.
Is it the assassination part, or what are you into?
So here's the thing. So we know what happened in 1989. There was a coup that basically dismantled the Soviet Union. It didn't have popular support. It was not done out of political necessity. It was not done out of economic necessity. It was a top-down coup, dismantled the entire Soviet Union. It was very bad for the global working class. Yeltsin was the successor. Yeltsin was a drunk. Yeltsin was incompetent. Yeltsin was a puppet and lackey of the West. Unemployment skyrocketed, prostitution skyrocketed, drug abuse skyrocketed, suicide skyrocketed. Following the liberal reforms it was just basically a free market capitalist system that was implemented. It was totally it was
Billy. What the fuck has this got to do with Vladimir Putin?
Okay, so I'm getting there. So Yeltsin was not going to win a second election. The Communist Party of Russia was going to win the second election. The United States went in there, rigged that election, bragged about it in Newsweek. You can read it in a Newsweek article. Bragged about how they got Yeltsin another victory. Putin, along with some other people in the government, told Yeltsin, "We're going to kill you, motherfucker, because you were ruining our fucking country." And he wrote a thesis about stabilizing the economy by doing two things: by nationalizing the natural gas sector, nationalizing the oil sector, and getting the Western-backed oligarchs under control. That is the platform he ran on. So after he was appointed, and Yeltsin stepped down, Putin was appointed, he ran for election, and that was the platform he ran on. So once he got elected, and he's been elected ever since, he has been implementing that platform. It has been very successful. It has been a tremendous benefit to the working class of Russia. They have seen, quality of life metrics increase. Putin is very popular. He's the next popular party is the Communist Party. He's also saved Syria, which I think, leftists everywhere need to thank him for that, because he sacrificed his own blood and treasure to keep Syria as a sovereign state and keep, tens of thousands of Syrian working class people from being overrun by Western-backed head-chopping psychopaths. So there's a lot of reasons to appreciate Putin. But
head-chopping psychopaths.
Bottom line, you ever heard of ISIS? Motherfucker.
Of course I don't like ISIS. Do you think I would like ISIS? I'm like half Jewish. Yeah, of course not.
Those are the head-chopping psychopaths I'm referring to.
Is it better when they just poison people or something?
So I don't believe. Look, you believe the Western media when they tell you something about one of their adversaries. To me, that's not.
People were poisoned. They didn't just die for no reason.
Okay, like Litvinenko, right? Litvinenko and that other guy that's currently in prison. So again, I don't buy the Western narrative, and I think it's very, very naive.
So was it food poisoning? Like what's going on there?
No, we know it was polonium. Nobody denies that. It's about who did it is what matters. And to suggest that Putin had a rationale to do that and that benefited him somehow, I think is nonsensical. But I know it's the Western narrative, and they shove it down everybody's throats. And that is what it is. I don't think the narrative is particularly believable.
So who do you think did it?
But here's the bottom line about Putin, right? So he's popular. He has benefited the interests of his working class citizens when you look at basic quality of life metrics. And I like what he's doing. He's resisting imperial domination and exploitation. So the West would like nothing more to break Russia up into a million pieces and take all that oil and natural gas and have it benefit themselves and not the Russian people. And Putin is standing in the way of that. And so for that reason, I support him. And I mean, I would like to see a communist party in Russia, of course, but that's not for me to decide. That's for the Russian people. And if the communist party over there can't get their shit together and develop a platform that gets them votes, well, then it's fucking Putin. And that's what we got to go with. But I don't criticize him. Like he's.
So you're a conservative. You're a conservative.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you are, because that is the exact kind of argument that they made about Donald Trump. Well, the American people voted for it, so fair enough. You are espousing the exact same argument that was made against the American people in 2016, and yet you do not see a parallel.
No, I've written at length about.
You don't see a parallel. Oh, you've written. I'm sure you wrote a lot of fucking things, but yeah.
So,
come on, Billy.
You know what Donald Trump was popular? Because he talked shit about the establishment, and people are sick to fucking death about the establishment. Anybody that denounces the establishment is gonna be fucking popular.
I mean, Putin seems to be the establishment in Russia.
I bet you voted for him.
Again, I'm proud that I have not voted. I would have never voted for Trump in a million years.
Yeah. Would you vote for Putin?
The problem with what you just said about Trump is you left out a very key part of it, and that's the racist part. Yeah, the people liked him talking and just sticking it to the man, right? They liked him just saying what was ever on his mind. Well, guess what? I like that too. I think that says a lot. But you know what was on his mind? Racism. That's what was on Trump's mind. That was it. And control and power and money. That was what was on his mind. That's what made Trump Trump, and that was what attracted so many people to him as well. It wasn't this class struggle. Trump has nothing to do with class struggle. I mean, I know that there's a lot of classism involved with those in his base, but it wasn't about classism. It was definitely about racism. That was a key attractive part of the voting for Donald Trump.
I don't think Trump was overtly racist. He was no more overtly racist.
What?
Wait, didn't we just say that the whole immigration thing was racist? Didn't that happen like 20 minutes ago?
That's standard republicanism, right?
So is he not racist now, or is he racist? Like,
his platform was standard republicanism. He was no more overtly racist than any Republican.
He was way more into building the wall, and he was racist about Mexicans.
The dog
is not as
Mexicans are rapists. That's not a fucking racist thing. Come on, Billy.
I thought we said it was like a half hour ago.
The entire
yeah. Mate, you want to turn your telly on and ask for the news person.
Wait a minute, it's not racism, it's Republican. Aren't those the same thing?
Yeah. So again, he's no more overtly racist than any Republican, and I would even argue any Democrat. The Democrats are just as fucking racist. You don't think Nancy Pelosi
I'm not going to deny that.
Racist?
I'm not going to deny that at all. But they don't make an attractive part of what they're.
Yeah, sorry, Brian, but you're sitting in a podcast. Neither of anyone here supports the Republican or the Democrat Party, and you want to ask us.
To the words coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I am. Unfortunately, but yeah.
So
I mean, you got quite a chin there, Billy. Do you work out?
No. What are you talking about? What's wrong with my chin?
No, your chin's all right. That's what I'm saying. Do you work out? Do you work out in Siberia?
Where's your camera, motherfucker?
Huh?
Where's your camera? Why don't you get a camera?
Well, I can turn the camera on in a moment. Yeah, sure.
I think you two need a spin-off show. I really do. It's like 30 minutes a week of like, I hate Putin. I love Putin. I want to fuck Putin.
I'm gonna be honest here. Look, Billy. Like I said before, I really don't think you're a bad person. I actually think you're all right.
I don't care. I couldn't care less. But go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, you could have given me a compliment, but fuck you, you cunt.
No, hey, you guys are allowing me an opportunity to share my views. I'm in the back of my mind, I'm trying to think, what can I say? How can we get this to a more substantive, direction where I'm not just saying motherfucker all the time? But it is what it is,
We like to say motherfucker. We like to say blowjob.
We like it.
We like to say take it up the ass.
We
There's
can
a lot
also
of things we like to say.
We can recruit you, Billy. We can recruit you. What do you think about liberty? Doing everything you want to do. What do you think about that? Come over here. Come to our side.
So again, in my worldview, right, we have the reality is class. We have
God Tower.
But there's other things besides class. I mean, there's other things that divide people. There's
an entrenched capitalist class dictatorship that is not just going to go away. And things aren't going to change. There's nothing that's going to change that is not in their interest until they are weakened and have been displaced. So right now on the planet, I see China is doing the most work to weaken, displace Russia, Iran, Venezuela.
Is Iran like the executing gay people thing, or like?
He went all quiet on that one, John.
So again, I mean, look.
So wait, you don't think Iran executes gay people?
I get the knee-jerk reaction when
No.
I say Iran.
Do you think Iran executes gay people? Yes or no?
I don't think Iran executes gay people because they're gay.
But they do.
I think there's a lot of gay people alive in Iran right now.
Yeah, because they've not been executed.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to guess your argument. There's a lot of gay people alive in Iran right now because they're not running around like a bunch of queer faggots. Is that kind of what your argument is?
Yes, it's the answer to the question. I like how we had to think there for 1 sec.
I knew it. I mean, we don't want queer parades going down the street.
So I don't agree with the cultural norms in Iran
of executing gay people.
Again, the state is a reflection of the population. So I apologize. Nicaragua.
I mean, they didn't execute gay people like before the what was it, the 80s, something like that.
You don't think so?
I don't think they did, at least at the same level. I mean, with the Ayatollahs taking over.
I don't think they have a big drive to execute gay people. I don't think that's really a focus right now. I don't think. I think that's a leftist talking point, a fake leftist talking point to ingratiate themselves with the narratives of empire to help subvert.
But people literally get arrested for homosexual activity. Like that's a thing there.
I don't agree with it.
That's a leftist talking point, John.
If that's a thing,
and again, because they're running around being all gay.
So the working class in Nicaragua, they are Christian. What was that?
My black fingernail polish. I mean, that doesn't reflect well on society, does it?
I mean, I get your point, and I do not. To whatever extent that takes place in Iran, I don't support it or condone it. But the point is, we can't allow cultural norms in a society we can't expect them to change overnight. We can't condemn the entire government because
they execute gay people.
So in Nicaragua, right, they're anti-abortion, so they don't allow abortion. But I still give them critical support. I give Iran
critical support for abortion, anti-abortion. Come on, Billy.
No,
really?
Well, that's what critical support means. It means I don't give them, overwhelming support. I support them critically on what they are doing right, and then
what are they doing right? I mean, they're not allowing women to be free and choose over their own bodies. Come on, Billy.
Right.
This is absolute bollocks. This
That's what they're not doing right. So should we support the U.S. to overthrow them and
No,
put
I
in
never.
a
No,
neoliberal government? Is that what
okay.
we should do?
We go back to the situation again, Billy. I don't know if you know, but if you listen to my voice, I'm not actually from the United States. Okay, so of course I don't support a different country overthrowing that country, and I don't support my own country overthrowing that country. However, that being said, your critical support is so wrong in so many ways. It's, we can't support that kind of thing. You are claiming to be a leftist. You are claiming to be a progressive. And you say that it's absolutely okay for men to dictate over women what they can do with their bodies. That is unacceptable. That is not okay. Do you agree with me or not?
No.
You don't agree with me, so you think that men should be able to dictate over women's bodies.
So again, the world's complicated.
I understand that. Yeah,
we gotta have priorities, right? We gotta prioritize. Which government is perfect and without blame, right? So none of them. I mean, societies have problems.
So
human beings
criticize
have
them.
problems. Governments have problems.
Yeah, right. Say Putin bad. Say Stalin bad.
What?
You heard me. Say Stalin bad. Putin bad.
It almost seems like you have a government fetish. Like you really love government power.
Okay. So how do we get on this discussion? We talked about the Western capitalist empire having global hegemony, right? And they've had it since World War II. Okay, and they've used that hegemony to overthrow a government a year for the past 70 years. They're using it an economic embargo, right? They're economically embargoing North Korea, Cuba, Iran, Venezuela. They're trying to force political concessions and to get those governments overthrown, to get in puppet governments that'll do what the Western corporations want them to do. So, I mean, do we advocate for that, or that's number one to me. That's on my list of priorities. That's my top priority.
I'm anti-war,
and I'm not happy that there's repression of different kinds of people in Iran, or that abortion isn't legal in Nicaragua. But I give those governments my critical support insofar as they are resisting the global imperialist hegemon that is trying to destroy that country and take it over and exploit it for the Western, to the benefit of the West. So I think that there needs to be there is an anti-imperialist bloc that is slowly displacing Western imperialist hegemony, and I think that's a good thing. I'm very optimistic about the future. I'm optimistic about China's inevitable displacement of the Western capitalist empire, and then freeing up societies like in Cuba to be able to engage and to do socialism however they want to, without fear of attack or economic repression.
Okay, Billy. So what you're saying is you would support any regime or any country that was resisting the United States of America or the West. Is that correct?
If they have popular support.
Are you okay? Do you need some more Coke? Or?
Popular support from who?
Their citizenry.
Okay.
Is it like a 51% thing, or is it like
let's say? Well, that's interesting. You bring that up, John. Nazi Germany challenged the West and had full support of its citizenry. What do you say to that?
That's not my take on Germany. Hitler never won an election.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Hitler won several elections in the Reichstag. No. His party grew in power every single time that they in the Reichstag.
Okay.
Maybe
Hitler,
never won. Okay, maybe
Hitler
never won an election, but the Reichstag is like parliamentary politics. Okay, they grew in number every single time that they.
I'm familiar with the history actually, and of course they were funded by the capitalists and the industrialists. His part because
you're diverting the question again, Billy. Come on, stick on topic.
They bought elections. That's what they did. They bought elections. They were never
Sure.
overwhelmingly popular.
Sure, and that's bad. And I mean, all of us on this channel disagree with that.
And I mean, I don't think there was popular support for Nazi policies. I don't think there was popular support.
Are you kidding?
There
was like 60 or 70% of the entire country that supported what they were doing.
No, I reject that. There was
never. Reject that why? Because Grover Bird told you, or what?
No, wrong.
Wrong. Who told you? Have you been there?
There was a plebiscite on the Holocaust. They voted on that. Are you stupid?
Sorry, I didn't hear. What did you say?
I asked you if there was a plebiscite on the Holocaust. That was a popular democratic initiative? Are you stupid? I'm telling you, the Nazi Party was not overwhelmingly popular like the Communist Party of China is popular.
The Nazi Party was extremely popular. You're the one that's stupid.
This is a stupid line to go down because look, fine. Caveat: it is not just a popular. It's more than just being popular. Okay, it's abiding by basic tenets of putting the interest of the vast majority of the population over the interests of the capitalists. And
like murdering gay people in Iran.
And that's what these countries are doing. So,
yeah, John. I think we've got a couple questions from chat. Shall we?
What do you got?
I lost my train of thought. That's all right.
That's okay, Billy. That's okay. Look,
I wanted to know. I was going to go back, kind of before all of this. I've been interested in this. Where did you come about your worldview, Billy? Like, where was that moment in your life where you were like, man, I really like jerking off to this Stalin guy? Like, where did that hit you? Like, in this in a more serious tone, this quest to like write the history that's told in schools from your point of view.
So honestly, the first issue that I really became aware that there was a concerted effort to impart to me a false understanding of reality kind of was the Israel-Palestine issue. So, as growing up in the West, you just passively absorb the idea that, Israel is the good guy and the Palestinians and the Arabs, they're the terrorists that we don't support. That's just what people passively absorb if they are not, actively trying to seek out information. So I just passively absorbed that. And then I read a book called, there's like Arabs in Israel for Beginners or something like that. And it just kind of blew my mind about what I had been conditioned to understand compared to the actual facts and reality of the situation. So that was my first kind of inclination that, I can't just trust these narratives that seem to be a conventional wisdom, that seem to just, everybody knows they're true and we're just going to accept them. That's when I started thinking, maybe I need to question some other things. So, and again, I think everything we learn in this country, every kind of conventional wisdom is totally false. And that goes to, again, with Stalin, with what World War II was. And it's really false in the way that it's trying to erase the reality that the capitalist class is class conscious and they do the things they do and they have the policies they do, they have the empire that they do because they are trying to maintain a class-based, hegemony over the planet. And so I think they try and get us to lose sight of that fact. And I think if we focus on that and use that lens to understand particular events and to put things in the proper context, that's the lens we need to use. So what is that noise? Is that Hilditch smoking?
Yeah, it's me smoking. Sorry.
Well, Billy Bob, it's interesting to me because like everything you said there, minus a few words here or there, I can agree with. I can definitely get behind that. I think it's important to become a free thinker and to question the narratives that are thrown at us by the powers that be, whatever they might be. I came to the same sort of conclusions with drugs, interestingly, with the whole just say no. I remember thinking to myself, who are they to tell me what to say about anything and the decisions I make in my life? Maybe that's where it kind of goes a little bit disparate, because, and maybe it really is the argument between libertine and something else, because it really seems like what your conclusion always goes back to, and not just you, I'm using you as representative for your movement, so to speak, and your worldview, but it does seem to always go back to authoritarianism and a defense of authoritarianism and what comes with that, racist genocide and so on and so forth. And it's just funny to me how much we can agree on until it comes to this little fork, and then it's like, not just veering off, but just completely sidetracked.
Well, I appreciate your thoughts. And I mean, again, I think, I don't know how you can not use authority to change the system. There's no other choice. The capitalist class does not leave any other option for us. They're not going to be voted out of power. They're not going to let us use their electoral system to change things that they're not going to change. The only thing that's going to make them change is an actual threat. And guess what? They're going to change temporarily. They're going to deal with that threat, and then go right back to doing what the fuck they want to do. And force is
what threat are we talking about?
Huh?
What threat are we talking about exactly?
No. Okay, so for instance, FDR saved capitalism in the United States. FDR did a whole bunch of reforms. He did a maximum wage. He did all kinds of things to placate a restless working class. And then guess what? They went to work, reducing that threat. They abolished unions. They destroyed the left. And Reagan came in and he rolled all that shit back. So, and that's what they're going to do over and over again. Again, China's shown us what's possible. Russia, for a short time, showed us what's possible. The working class can take power, and we don't have to be subjected to a capitalist class dictatorship. We can enjoy the benefits of a working class dictatorship. So again, China is the ideal at the moment. So, the Soviet Union did some amazing things, and there was some mistakes, of course. China, I mean, and again, I hope you guys don't buy into all the anti-China nonsense. I mean, even that tennis player nonsense, that's too bad if you guys are falling for that.
Whoa, hang on. Whoa, no. We'll talk about that.
You guys think there was 6 million Uyghurs in internment camps?
6
Ladies
million.
and gentlemen, Alex Jones.
Well, I don't know about that. No, Billy. I don't know about the number, but what I do know is there is structural racism towards Uyghurs in China, and that is unacceptable. I hope that you would agree with that.
Towards who?
Sorry?
Structural racism towards who?
The Uyghurs.
What is it? What's there's laws against them?
Are you John? Take the seat.
No, I'm letting you keep it.
So, I reject that there's structural racism in China. Again, all the minorities are given extra special treatment, right? They're not held to the one
forced sterilization.
Yeah, right.
There's no forced sterilization. That's a lie.
No.
But how do you know that's a lie?
Yeah,
how do you know it's true? So that's my problem.
From a million different places.
You guys are repeating Western narratives that are told to demonize an adversary.
But how do you know that's why they're told?
That is the exact position by the government of China. What is wrong with you?
What's the position of the government of China? What are you talking about?
The government of China is basically, well, okay, we're going to have to put these people in camps and we have to make them Han kind of like, right?
No.
Yes.
I mean, we can discuss Xinjiang. There's no forced sterilization. There's a concerted effort to bring prosperity in order to to bring peace. So there was definitely a Western-backed attempt to utilize separatists in Xinjiang to cause problems, especially for the Belt and Road Initiative, which is going to roll right through there. So there was a lot of terrorism. China went in there, and their approach was to bring education, development, in order to bring prosperity and peace. And they have won. China has winning hearts and minds. There's no ill intent. The intent is to end the terrorism, and they've been extremely successful at
Billy, we've been here before. 9/11.
Wow, I mean, this is an actual like genocide apology I'm listening to play out before my very ears.
Yeah, I mean, so you guys see it that way, and again, I think that you're coming from a premise that is just false. So
But
I mean,
see,
that's
I don't
where
understand.
it is.
Again, I think all governments are bad. I think all governments at their very heart are violence. I think all governments at their very heart are suppression.
Where does that get us? Where does that get us? If we can't use the tool of government, where does that get us? It gets us nowhere, and that's why
it gets us to genocide.
Okay, so we better just embrace the capitalist.
Why is it one or the other? That's what's blowing my mind here. It's like it's either this or this.
It's one or the other because there's no way. There's no other way to change the system. Again, it's got to be one or the other.
I'm not saying we're not going to need to have a revolution of some kind, whether that be through arms or something else. But I'm also saying that we don't have to install a dictatorship at the end of that and suddenly lose all the rights guaranteed to the individual. That's just bizarre thinking to me. And it's part of what got us to where we are now by allowing the capitalist class to control us all.
Billy, I think you were supposed to answer that.
Sure. I mean, I think you have a misconception of rights. I don't think in the capitalist dictatorship, rights are really a thing. I think that rights exist so long as they're not threatening to the capitalist class. The minute our rights become a threat, they're done with. There's no more such thing.
So how does that work in the communist dictatorship?
That's
what.
How does that work in the communist dictatorship? You just
it's the same way. You want. But guess what? One is for the working class repressing the capitalist class, and the other is the capitalist class repressing the working class. What side are you on in the class war?
I just don't want to repress people personally.
Yeah, this is just hilarious.
If that's your attitude, guess what? You're never going to change the oppression that's currently existing. That's what I'm saying. If you're against oppression and you refuse to engage in authority to overthrow the current oppressors, you're not going to change anything.
But I don't just want to reinstall new ones.
Right, that's the thing that cracks me up.
So if you don't want to reinstall a new government of the working class who is going to repress the capitalist class, then allow the capitalist class to come back and take back control because you refuse to repress them.
How do you rectify this constant, repression of the capitalist class with repression of just basic ideas? I mean, controlling of the internet, controlling of the news, controlling of the press, basically. How is that playing into your little narrative of keeping the capitalist class down? Some dude wanting to spout off shit, and all of a sudden he's dragged away in the middle of the night and put into a prison camp? That's bullshit, man. Bullshit.
Well, I think you got to understand that China exists in a world that's dominated by an imperialism, and they have legitimate security threats. You think China ought to open up their airwaves? You think the Chinese working class want to have subversive propaganda spammed 24/7 all along their airwaves, designed to sow distrust and to do its best to tear down the government and break apart their society? Is that a good thing? No, that's not in the interest of the working class of China, and so they don't allow it. We're in the middle of a global class struggle.
I mean, it's not the working class of China deciding it. It's like the authoritarian government that's in power.
Right. It's the dictatorship. This is hilarious. They are the capitalist class, man. The one sitting up there at the top, he's banging high-class hookers every night. He's getting the money. All the while, all y'all are just buying his bullshit and out here repressing one another. It's hysterical to me, if not all out just terrifying, that this is an actual worldview.
So, and I think that your opinion comes from a place of ignorance regarding the reality of the situation. And, that's what I think. And I don't think
Hey, hold on one second. You hit the ball to me, boom, right back at you, buddy, because I think you're quite ignorant, not only of the situation, but just of like the general basis of what a human being is and the rights that are endowed within the individual, as opposed to this working class monolith that you've constructed in your mind. It's really kind of hysterical to me.
Where did your name go, and where did Hilditch go? So I apologize for not seeing your name.
No, I'm here.
Okay, let me ask you this. Top right
you
corner.
You can call me Cosmic Cracker.
Okay, so here's the thing. Why do you think the Communist Party of China, according to a Harvard study, has a 96% satisfaction rating? Like, if they're so oppressive and suppressive, why are they beloved by their people? Far more than
you say beloved by their people. How many members they got?
The 100 million strong Communist Party.
100 million by 1.6 billion?
Yeah.
You think that's a point?
Every demographic study, every poll that's been conducted concludes that the Chinese people support their government to a much.
No. 1.6. There are 1.6 billion Chinese people.
And a poll conducted at a barrel of a gun is not a poll at all.
Yeah.
No,
right.
So
100 million. Well done. Thanks very much.
Jeremy wants to jump in here. I'm going to let Jeremy. You have something to say.
So currently in the Republican Party, if you don't lick Trump's butthole on command, you are essentially kicked out. So people that generally were never Trumpers or generally wouldn't support him seemingly do now because, well, they're politicians and you got to do what you got to do to be a politician. So Trump remains very popular within the party, despite a lot of what he did. It's a cult of personality. But you can't say, no, I don't like Trump without severe repercussions, either personally or for your career. So, asking somebody in China whether or not they support the party is... the results of the poll seem like they be tainted a little bit by fear of repercussion.
And I mean, that's the idea that the Western media wants you to believe, right? They don't want you to know the facts. They don't want you to
kill dissidents.
What?
They don't kill or imprison dissidents.
They do. Does the U.S.? I mean, that's what happens in a class war. That's what happens in a class war. It is a class war.
I mean, the U.S. does have political prisoners. Don't get me wrong, but they don't usually throw people in jail for just saying they don't like the government.
I don't think they do that in China either, my friend. So, you know who Julian Assange is?
I do.
Right? So, I mean, again, the U.S. represses its people in defense of its capitalist hegemony. You know what I'm saying? So, the Communist Party of China represses capitalists in furtherance of working class hegemony.
So if somebody says they don't like the government, they're the evil capitalists and should be just put in jail or killed.
Nobody gets put in jail for saying they don't like the government. That's nonsense. That's an idea that's been inculcated in your head because the Western media wants you to think stupid things about China that aren't true.
But how do you know that's not true?
I believe it's not true. I've done research. I've had these discussions a number of times. I've looked at all kinds of information and analysis. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't believe it's true. Joshua Wong, he's a domestic terrorist. He's in prison. I'm happy. Okay. So, it works both ways. You have capitalistic. There's no such thing as a government in the middle of this class war that isn't taking sides in the class struggle. And you have capitalist dictatorships in the West. You have proletarian dictatorships in China, and they both are doing, the same kinds of things, but for their respective classes. So, so China is popular. No. Here's the thing. China is popular for a reason. Over the past 40 years, wages have tripled every 10 years. Every 10 years for 40 years, wages have tripled. The education spending has doubled every 8 years for the past 40 years. They are skyrocketing in quality of living, access to opportunity, access to healthcare, access to education. Like the government is doing tremendous things for the people. 800 million people have been brought out of poverty. So look, capitalist dictatorships don't fucking care about doing that. Communist dictatorships do, and that's why I support communist dictatorships. And I oppose those forces in the West that try and keep that from happening on a global basis.
Calm down.
No.
China is not communist.
Okay. That's your opinion.
No, it's not.
It's run by a communist party.
Yeah. Just
right?
like the Soviet Union.
So,
communism is a global system, right?
I mean, so if the Republican Party changed its name to the Communist Party, does that just, and then took control of everything and then told anybody who disagreed with them, they go to jail. And then they also go, but we're for the working class, so it's okay.
If you're going to get in the way of our tripling of wages every 10 years for 40 years, if you're going to get in the way of doubling our education spending every 8 years for 40 years, if you're going to get in the way of our reducing poverty for 800 million people, yeah, you might want to get out of our country, because that's what the fuck we're about, and that's what we're doing. So I support that.
What do you mean by get out of the country? Are you going to go Caleb Malcolm on me now? Or?
I like him.
You like him?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't disagree that China has grown. I mean, wasn't it largely by, Western capitalist reforms?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they've harnessed capitalism. Yeah. They have made their society inexplicably enticing to capitalist investment. And it's done wonders. And all that is overseen by a communist party that is intent on benefiting the working class, which they have on an unparalleled and unprecedented basis.
Wait a minute. So they have made all the
6% support. Duh.
And so they've made all the improvements
because they do things for the people, and people know that.
And they've made all their improvements because of opening the doors to capitalist societies.
That was of course a huge driver of their ability to develop productive forces, increase quality of life, decrease poverty. Yes, of course. That was their strategy. That was their plan. It was also Mao's plan. But
they're killing all the landlords and all that.
It had to be done.
Murdering landlords had to be done.
So look,
I get a lot of the complaints with landlord and absentee property, and I personally consider myself a mutualist, and so I have some qualms there, but I'm not going to say the solution to that is murdering them.
And I'm not sure that Mao implemented there was a civil war, and yes, landlords were killed because guess what? Their neighbors that had been oppressed by the landlord took revenge. I mean, that happened, but there wasn't like a government policy saying we're going to murder all the landlords. And some of the landlords, of course, survived, but there was a lot of reprisal killings. I mean,
do you think those murders were justified?
Huh?
I said, do you think those murders were justified? That's what happens in a
civil war. You're not going to have a civil war without reprisal killing.
Do you think they were justified, though?
No, I mean, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I can understand why people would do it, but I wouldn't do it. I mean,
that's good.
I would like to think I wouldn't do it. I don't hate anybody enough to kill them, but no, I can understand how there was, reprisal killings. That's a thing that takes place in civil wars. You don't think that? But that's the fault of the communists? I don't blame the communists for that particularly. But no, I mean, I think you guys just live in an alternate universe that has been indoctrinated by Western messaging to be anti-China, and I think that
is that because we've seen Winnie the Pooh.
So when you tell me that the 96% is because somebody has a gun to their head instead of because of all the actual fucking things the government has done for them, like I'm like you're just out of touch. You're just out of touch. They don't have that many guns.
Bit. I think you're out of touch.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
I want to go ahead.
No, hang on a sec, Brian. So
yeah, of course.
When we're talking about like the Ukraine and Russia and all that kind of stuff, you think I'm out of touch? That is a stone throw. The first bombs that are going to rain down are on London, and you think I'm out of touch? Of course, I'm in touch.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, go on then, Mister. I do my crops.
So
I think for a different moment here, I do want to jump in on this because this conversation really had me thinking about the words of the great working class hero that is Eddie Murphy. And I wanted to offer a few of his words here for all of us here tonight, just something to think about. Dark and lonely on a summer night, kill my landlord, kill my landlord. Watchdog barking, do he bite? Kill my landlord, kill my landlord. Slip in his window, break his neck. Then his house I start to wreck. Got no reason, what the heck? Kill my landlord, kill my landlord.
What the hell are you talking?
C-I-L my landlord.
What the hell was that? What was
I didn't know Eddie was such a poet. That's great.
Yeah, those were the great words
I've seen that before.
Of working class hero Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
I thought it was
well, you
important
need to get me on your radio station. Jesus Christ.
I thought they were important for all of us to reflect on here for a moment. Because there was
just
something
like
in
now.
there for all of us. Yeah, it really does.
So,
And
Billy,
I know.
here we go. Next one. Who are you going to support? Russia or the Ukraine?
Ooh, good question. Let's take bets.
So I think it's important to approach the situation through a class analysis.
Bollocks answer. Who are you going to support? I don't want your fucking theory as if you were in the university. Who are you going to support?
I can't help it. I'm long-winded. I apologize. So look, this started when? This started in 1989.
Bollocks question. Question.
When James
Who are you going to support? Who are you going to support? Ukraine or Russia?
When James Baker told Gorbachev, hey, don't worry, you dismantle the Soviet Union. We will not move NATO 1 inch closer to your border. And that was a total lie. And so what has happened is the crisis is caused by NATO's continued eastern expansion. That's it. That's what the crisis is. So Russia has legitimate security concerns. If NATO is going to pretend that those security concerns aren't anything that they need to respect, there's going to be problems. So Russia's not going to invade Ukraine unless NATO does some kind of provocation, which makes it necessary. Is NATO going to do that? I don't know. I don't think NATO knows what they're going to do.
The way you asked me, do you think I am like the chief of NATO? I have no idea. But anyway,
I thought you were the president of NATO.
You didn't answer my question. The Ukraine versus Russia. Which side are you on? Go.
So Russia's part of the anti-imperialist bloc. I support them.
Give me all that kind of.
But isn't Russia invading Ukraine imperialism?
Not by any definition of imperialism that's
how
like invading and taking it over.
Yeah, how convenient, John.
No, that's resisting imperialism.
But what if they take over another country? That sounds like imperialism.
So imperialism is a policy of extending a country's power and influence through diplomacy or military force. I'm not seeing anything on there unless I like it. So, I mean, if you want to support Russia doing so, you certainly can. You are a free person because we're not in China, and you are welcome to do so. So, I mean, if you want to, you can. You can support Russia. I personally don't necessarily support what they're trying to do. I understand some of Putin's reasonings, wanting to do it, and including the whole NATO alliance thing, which I also don't support either. That's just a clusterfuck in itself, and really has no reason to exist at this point. I'm certain they're looking for more or less a reason to exist, but you don't really have to support a NATO side or a Ukraine side, or because that's what NATO will do. They'll look at Putin invading as a threat and give power to their war machine, but you don't necessarily also have to support what Russia is trying to do. Now, I understand there's history there between Ukraine and Russia, but yeah, you don't have to support Russia either. Like it just,
Do you know what NATO did in Ukraine in 2013? Like,
I do actually.
So the U.S. specifically invested $5 billion into a coup that overthrew the popularly elected pro-Russian
right, and put the Nazis
elected leader of Ukraine. So how is that not a threat to Russia? Doesn't Russia have legitimate security? Russia was doing that in Mexico.
I agree with you. They put the reactionaries in charge.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Outlawed the Russian language.
But Vladimir Putin is also a reactionary.
Because he's resisting imperialism.
He's
resisting imperialist encirclement.
Would you like a list? Like, for example, banning homosexuality in the Russian Federation.
Homosexuality is banned in Russia now?
Sorry?
Homosexuality. It's not banned in Russia, I promise.
It is.
There's homosexuals in Russia.
It is.
Okay, we'll look that up real quick because I'm not 100% sure on all my LGBT. So let's see, age of consent 16. Legal gender change.
So Russia has legitimate security concerns. There's a NATO encirclement, right? And they're resisting a NATO encirclement. When imagine if Russia was putting a ring in Canada, bases in Canada, bases in Mexico, overthrowing the Mexican government, putting in a anti-U.S. Government in Mexico. Like, what? Like, do you guys think like that? I mean, is that possible for you? Would you say that the U.S. responding to that is engaging in imperialism? Like, it's nonsensical.
No, we wouldn't say that at all. Hey, Jeremy, you've had a look?
Yep. So, yeah, Russia is not, obviously they don't have the best track record, but they're not explicitly, it's not illegal to be gay in Russia.
Right.
It doesn't seem to be very popular. There's no legal same-sex marriage, etc. But, they're not Iran.
Yeah, they're definitely more progressive than Iran. And again, the society in Russia is socially conservative. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of Orthodox. But again, those are not reasons to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And we can work on advocating for more progressive social policies without saying we support the U.S. overthrowing Ukraine and threatening Russia with encirclement. Or saying that Russia's response to that is imperialism when it's patently resisting imperialism.
Invading something is just imperialism. No, it's not imperialism because you're.
Okay, where did they invade?
Like it?
Where did Russia invade?
Well, the whole talk is about them invading Ukraine.
Okay,
right.
Did they invade Ukraine? Why would they invade Ukraine? They would only invade Ukraine if the Nazis that are in charge start invading the Donbass region, where most people are ethnic Russian with actual Russian citizenship. If they did that, Russia would protect them. Russia has no interest in occupying Ukraine.
Okay, so let's say the Ukrainians don't invade that region. Okay, will you pay me $100 if Russia invades without that happening?
Will you pay me $100 if?
Well, no, because you said it won't happen though.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Ukraine won't do that, but you're saying Russia won't do that without any provocation.
Russia has no reason to invade or occupy Ukraine. Believe me, they don't want an occupation. They can't afford a fucking occupation.
They
You
have a lot
think
of
Russia
money.
wants to invade? The only reason they would do that is if, the Minsk Accords are not being followed, and the Nazi government does some crazy provocation. I mean, then they'll get a reaction. But I tell you what, that reaction is going to be standoff missiles, and there's not going to be any kind of Russian troops on the ground that are going to be targets for Western-backed terrorists, because they know this game. Like, they're not stupid. But I just wish that you guys were a little bit more savvy regarding the imperialist game and about, the real world stuff about what's going on, how the global capitalist structure is hell bent on maintaining their hegemony, which is in decline. And as China grows and displaces them, as Russia gets stronger to displace them, that is threatening to the Western capitalists, and that is why we see all these things going on. And they're trying to think of ways where they can undermine China, undermine Russia to maintain their hegemony, and they are the ones driving this. China's reacting. Russia is reacting. They're not the aggressors. You guys don't seem to get that, and it's frustrating to me. Can you get it? Can you just say you get it, and I'll feel better?
Thank you.
I mean, I get your frustration. Okay, I understand your frustration of wanting us to understand that, and I feel for you, buddy. I really do. Like, from the deepest portions of my heart, I hope that you can find some other friends you can sit around and like circle jerk to Stalin with. But at the same time, your worldview is just this extreme authoritarianism. That's what it all ultimately comes back when I listen to you talk. And that's what just really blows my mind. And I can never come to 100% terms with you at all.
Right,
go ahead, Jeremy.
There is some similarities in complaints with the world that we have. It just, installing a dictator and killing people that don't agree, it just is not the logical conclusion that we should be lifting up and putting out there.
Is it not very similar to the Dark Enlightenment ideas of the monarchy being the way to liberty? It's very similar to that in my mind.
It is. It is.
To address the concerns that you guys just articulated.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think that authoritarianism is something that I advocate for, right? So I understand the necessity of authoritarianism within the context of class struggle. But again, authoritarianism isn't an end in itself. It's a means to win the class struggle. And then after there's no legitimate threat to the working class government, there's no need for authoritarianism. You know what I'm saying? So it's a process.
But when does that end? I mean, the Soviet Union had authoritarianism for like almost a century.
Okay. I mean, yeah, right. When is that achieved? Like, when is that achieved? Like, is it after,
never
150,000 dissidents are killed, or is it after all the dissidents are killed, or is it?
It's just like listening to Mencius Moldbug. I mean, seriously, it's the exact same thing. It never ends, and that's ultimately the end game. And I'm not saying with you personally, Billy Bob.
When the capitalist hegemony over the globe is no longer a threat to working class people. Right?
It's just funny to me, though, that you're telling us that we're out of touch and we're all brainwashed with Western ideas, when I'd make the counterclaim to you that you're out of touch and you're brainwashed with billionaire authoritarian ideas. It's like that's who you idolize in your mind as the ones who are helping the working class, when in fact they're just getting richer and richer and having some fun killing the dissidents and the queers, you know?
And again, I reject that characterization, and I would point to actual improvements in China, for instance, where they're doing tremendously well thanks to the Communist Party. So, I don't think that you're seeing things clearly when you make that kind of, sweeping generalization. But we can agree to disagree. I mean, it's fine. But authoritarianism, again, it's a means to an end, and it's necessary. And it's not something that is the inevitable, it's not going to go on in perpetuity, right? So the the class struggle ends once there is no threat from the capitalist class to oppress the working class. And we're at the very beginning stages of the class struggle. It took us a long time to go from feudalism to capitalism. Was capitalism a improvement over feudalism? Of course it was. It took hundreds of years to that transition. Now we have a certain people that are entrenched and benefiting from the status quo and are keeping us from progressing into the next stage. So the next stage is socialism, and lost my train of thought. ADHD.
I'm not even going to argue that, because I play around a lot in socialist circles with my thinking. I kind of consider myself a mutualist too. I don't know. I've never been able to define myself more than just an anti-authoritarian, And the fact of the matter is, your goals there, I think, are fantastic. I'm not going to deny that. And
I don't think they're achievable any other way.
All right, guys. The end of the podcast is here.
Wait, we got 15 minutes.
We've done enough here. Billy Bob, we
Are
enjoyed
you masturbating, Hilditch?
I think he's tired.
I was well tired. Billy Bob,
let me get the last word.
Sure, go for it.
So, no, I mean, I appreciate being on, and I had delusions of grandeur where we would get much more substantive, and it's been a good learning process for me, and I appreciate you guys having me on, and I do like the discussion.
I would like to have you on again sometime, like your in-house.
On your lawn. I want to fight you on your lawn, Hilditch. Yeah, let's have you back and we can talk about a single topic maybe that doesn't just go everywhere.
That'd be great. You can be our standby in-house tankie.
Is that a paying position? Never mind.
Oh God, ain't none of us got no money.
Yeah, for me.
We sell shirts on occasion, and
because we're the capitalist class.
Look,
right.
To be fair,
we must
Billy,
go ahead.
Thank you for coming on. Like,
all right.
Fuck it, whatever. You're a cunt.
All right.
No, thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it was definitely lively, fun discussion. Yeah, I think.
Don, you're the quiet, smart one.
Yeah, I am.
I expect more from you.
What was I supposed to say?
Fuck off. Hey, Billy, fuck you.
I know you guys had like a history, so I just kind of wanted to let you go at it a little bit. But, were you gonna say something?
Well, no, I can tell that you are there thinking, and I appreciate that. And if you didn't feel like you had anything to contribute, and I mean, I get it, but I'm sure you did. I can tell that you're thinking about things, and I appreciate you considering my views. Really, even if you disagree with them right now, I think you might come around.
I don't know. We'll see about that one, but
I've gone from neocon to an ANCAP to a mutualist to I've moved around a little bit. Taking a hard left and driving up north. No, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right, so we should wrap up. So thanks to everyone for watching, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Buy shirt, get money. No, other way. We get money. You send money, we get shirt.